Alrighty, I'm back. We're going to finish this up here. We've got our weather API to finish, so let's hop right in. Let's pick up where we left off. All right, if you guys remember, we have all of this stuff here. We left off with this render function. All right, and I also mentioned that we could do some of this stuff down below, but I broke out this render function because we have to call this over again, and I might want to rerun some of this data. Something like this weather description, however, that I'm not really using the display temp for and the weather icon, we don't actually have to have up in this render function. We could leave it down here, all right? So let's see where we are in our scope. So let's remember our scope first. So our scope here, we're down all the way in here in this bottom inside, nested inside this get JSON location, the get JSON weather, and we have to set the background down here, all right? So we pulled some stuff out in our render function that we don't actually have to pull out that far. So later on, to prove this works at the end, if I've got time, what I'll do is I will cut, where am I at here? I want to cut out, where's my render? Oh, there. I'm actually going to cut out some of this stuff here and put it down below just to show you. The ones we really want up here are the display temp here in terms of render, because we're running this through another function. If we have more things we want to run through and change, we want to pull that out as well. But so let's just go back down and let's take a look at our scope here. This right here is where we are for our toggle, and again our toggle is still inside of this get JSON. All right, and you can see where this opens and closes for this get JSON. All right, which is inside of our weather app. All right. So what I'm going to do next is I need to find the ID. All right, the ID. What is the ID? I finally found it. I lost it last time, and here it is. Here's an example of what we're talking about. Here's the icon list. Here is the icon's locations. And this is where this web address came from that I couldn't find earlier. Here's the icons with the icon codes. And we can set the background based on the icon, which would be more complete, but that's going to take longer. But the ID number here is what is the ID to what it's going to say on the screen. Remember, we broke up the backgrounds based on like the 200s group, 300s group, the 500s group, the 600s group, so on and so forth, right? And we have each one of those corresponding in our array, our background image array. So this is at position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so what we need to do here is we're going to start by storing that ID, all right, that variable, and I'm just going to call it ID because it makes sense. And I'm going to set that equal to, right? Now remember, we are inside of this location here, and remember our function, what we're calling this weather object, is going to be data. So again, I'm just going to say where am I here? I lost myself in my own notes. Anyway, the ID is going to be the data, and then we're looking at weather, right? And remember, the weather is an array, so we need array. There's only one thing in that array, and I'm going to be using the key for ID, right? I'm also going to declare another variable here, and so I don't have to write var again. I'm going to call this the background index. I'll show you how I'm going to use these later. And background ID. Background ID. Okay. So I need these things. So I'm going to have these background ID. And this background ID is going to be an array. And this is going to be an array of all of the values you see here that we have corresponding backgrounds to. All right, and so this group 200 is going to be thunderstorm. All right, so it's going to go up to 299. So everything that's in that thunderstorm category, right? Notice I'll have up to 299 is going to be this position 0. What's also going to be position 0 is everything that I'm going to say is going to be 299 or under is going to be a thunderstorm of some sort. All right, and notice how that 299 thunderstorm lines up with this thunderstorm image, and that's what's going to be our background, and that's going to be how we're going to handle this. All right. So we have that. The next one we have is $4.99, $5.99, $6.99, $7.99, and exactly 800. Remember, 800 is the clear night, clear day. And so if it's exactly here, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we did this right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's your clear, but I also have one more for 7, okay? So anything over that 800, scroll down, anything over that 800 is just going to be clouds or extreme. And I didn't do the extreme weather ones. I just said if it's over 800, just throw up a picture of clouds, which is cheating, but I know. But again, you can make this more robust if you like as well, following the same logic here. So I have this background index is going to correlate to this background image array. So these two arrays line up, okay? So the index of 299 has the same index as this thunderstorm picture, right? I don't know if you can kind of see where I'm going with this now. All right, hopefully. And what I'm going to do is, so I have that. I have a background ID. All I need to do, so ID is this number that I'm getting, right? And this number that I'm getting is going to be, let's say if it's snow, it could be 602, 611, that kind of thing. But it's still all going to fall under snow. All right, so this is how this is going to work. I'm going to say background ID, right? And I'm going to grab this here. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm just going to push, right? The ID. Let's see. Push ID. All right. That sounds pretty good. So let's see what we have here. And if you want, you can console log out this background ID. And so essentially what we have here is we have light intensity drizzle. So let's look at what light intensity drizzle is, which means I'm getting an ID of 300. So what I'm going to get here is I'm going to get in this array, I'm going to push it. So it's going to push over here and it's going to get 300. Now, if we want to see what that looks like, let me make sure I have no other console logs active. I turned off those console logs, right? Yep. Let's see what happens if we console.log rounds ID at this point. Save, run, console. I'm still console logging. That's oops, I have a syntax error here. Of course I do. Var background ID. As always, it would help if I set it equal to the background ID. And like I said, these little things are helpful. Run this again. I gotta turn off this object here. I'm gonna clear out my console log. Clear. I'm gonna find out where I console log these this object here. I think I'm done with that. All right. I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I'm gonna come back when I find that syntax error. Let's try that. Oh, there it is. It just took a second. That's what I expected to see. So you can see I pushed that number, that code. I'm getting 300 to the end. However, I want this code is going to correspond to something that's in light drizzle. And I have light drizzle defined as anything up to rain, which is anything in 300s or all the way up to 499 actually. So how do I get the background of drizzle here? Well, I want to sort this. So I want to access drizzle. All right, so drizzle is going to be the first position here, and the drizzle image is also the first position here in my pictures. So if I sort this, 300 will then be in the first position. Okay, do you understand? So that'll be in the first position there, which is exactly what I want. So how do I get that in the first position? Well, we can do some more magic here. And all I got to do is say, I'm going to use this background index. Let's copy the index. All right. That's going to be equal to background ID. All right, so it's the background ID. That's a whole array. All right, but then what I want to do is I want to sort. Since they're integers, we're going to sort in numerical order and ascending order, which is exactly what I want. And then that returns an array. Remember, sort returns a new array. So then I can take the index of E. All right. So what I did is I set that background index to the index of whatever this ID is now. So that ID, it's 300, is now in this position. So background index is going to be 1. Okay? That's all we have to know. So now we have a number. So background index is now the number 1. And that number 1, I can now say background image of background index, or 1, and that'll get me the light drizzle intensity, whatever picture that I have. Okay, so I'm going to clear. I'm going to save. I'm going to run. And of course, it's not sorted because, can you guess why? Console logged X before I sorted. There, save, run. There you see. Now that 300 is in the first position. Good. So I can clear, drop that down. Just make sure everything's working. Last piece. So all I have to do now is set the background to the background index of that array. That's all I have to do, and it'll automatically change. Go jQuery magic. See here. So the body, I want this to be the background of the body. Then I want to modify CSS. I want to, remember I already have that some fancy CSS over here to make sure that the body, this whole chunk here from the first video. So the CSS, all right, and I want that to say background image, okay. Oops. And then I want it to give me a URL, and the URL is in a opening parentheses here. And then I'm going to concatenate this string. And I'm going to concatenate this string with background image. All right, background image. Remember, is this array here. All right, but that's an array, so I have to give that array a number. And the number that I want, or the spot that I want in that array, is already set here by background index. So background index. Okay, now I can finish concatenating this. Plus that. And then that closes that CSS. Okay. I think that is that. So if I did all of that right, and there's no syntax errors, save, and then I should be able to run, get light intensity drizzle. It would help if I didn't have a typo here. And see how it turns blue to let me know that I didn't mess up that time? Ooh, and there we go. There's my image for light intensity drizzle. Cool, right? And again, if you want to see this change, instead of background index, you can put like, let's say 6, save and run, and you'll see that you get the other images you want. So the images do change, right? Just to show you, the images do change. But this is what I want. All right, so let's go to the full page. And there's your weather app. Let's see if the Celsius to Fahrenheit works. There we go. And there's your complete weather app. Done. I'm going to go back to the editor view. And we're going to walk through this one time. Let's go down to our main program. All right, we're going to start off here. This is our main program. This is our main, starting with the get JSON. Then we have get weather. And then we're going to have a helper function that we're going to call, the place data helper function that we're going to call, and set the background array that we're going to call. And these are all the functions up here. So let's see if we followed this. All right, so the first thing we did was get JSON for the location. I have location data, and I set that location data directly to the HTML. After I did that, inside of this get JSON call, I used that location, and I took that location now, fed it into this weather API using the location.longitude and location.latitude, and I concatenated that in with the API, including my API key, and I got data back, a data object back. I set that to a global variable so I could use that data anywhere, and now I just called my render function. What does render do? Render sets a variable for current weather, current temp based on that data. It takes that current temp and runs it through my display temp, which decides whether C is true or false. All right, right now it's false because it's always false unless you click on something. So I get false and some data in F. So it just returns math.round F, which is my data in F, and then a degree symbol, then a space, and then F. Good to go. And then we have that. So that runs it through display temp. Then I have an icon, a data.weather.0. It sets that icon to what I want. Then I overwrite HTML for current temp. I overwrite HTML for current weather, which has now been adjusted for Celsius or Fahrenheit. And then I go out to the Open Weather Map API. I grab that icon and I prepend that icon onto the current temp stat itself. So then we pick back up here where we toggle only if we click this button. We change Celsius to Fahrenheit, which means if it's true, it's false. If it's false, it's true. And we rerun that render, all right, with this same data. Remember, I used API data and data here to show you that you can use either a global variable or a local variable. They will both work. And then the last thing we did is we have the weather ID, all right, and then we accessed an array, sorted the array, and set our background according to this push and sort method right here. And then, of course, we used our fancy jQuery to send that stuff, to the CSS. Whew. All right, that was a lot. All right, so hopefully this was all very helpful. Go back to full page so you can see how beautiful this is. All right, and hopefully all this stuff was helpful, and I'll see you on the next project.